Winter returned with a vengeance, and we definitely felt it today with very strong winds and snow squalls, which will continue through the overnight hours. Check out what it looked like for our viewers in the city of Barrie. Wow, you can just hear the winds here howling, and these very strong wind gusts, yes, they will continue. We still have a lot of snow squall watches and warnings in place across southern Ontario. We'll talk about that in a few moments. There's those howling winds. But first, an update from Kasia Badurka. She was in Brampton earlier today. So here's the warning and watch that we have in place. The warning is marked in the sort of bluish color, and it does include the city of Toronto. I have the warning right here in my hands. Pickering, Mississauga, we have Oshawa included, Markham, Huron, Orangeville, Barrie, and Aurelia. And we could be seeing upwards of 10 to 15 centimeters through some parts. The watch that is in place includes Guelph. So here's through to Friday. Note along the shores of Huron, around Kincardine, for example, maybe 25 centimeters could fall. For the city of Toronto, it looks to be under 5 centimeters. But it's really the bursts of snow that we're seeing really quickly that's causing the problems if you're on the roads. We take you to Crystal Beach. This is in the community of Fort Erie. Again, the very strong winds. Now, we still have a wind warning in place for this evening around Picton. Those gusts could reach 100 kilometers an hour. But even though we didn't have a wind warning in place for Toronto, Kitchener, and Hamilton right here, the numbers are impressive. We got up to 84 kilometers an hour in Toronto, and Hamilton reached peak wind gusts at 81 kilometers an hour. Now, for tomorrow morning, it's still going to be quite cold. Actually, even colder than today. You're waking up to feeling closer to minus 20 in Barrie, and for St. Catharines, minus 15. In New Hamburg, right here, you can see the water flowing very quickly. It was a really odd situation this week. Of course, we had the very mild conditions followed by the dramatic cool down, and I'm sure that people looking at that water are thinking maybe flooding if you had a flooded basement because of all that water that came really quickly. Not a good situation, but it's back to winter, back to where we should be for this time of year. Now, we take a look at what's happening over the next 24 to 48 hours, and we're going to see northwest winds heading into tomorrow, and that could cause snow squalls to continue. So we'll keep an eye on those watches and warnings in place for you for the Greater Toronto region, up towards Barrie as well, because we really could see them once again. Now, for temperatures, we're going to be really quite seasonal by the end of the weekend, but until then we are below seasonal. Toronto daytime high -5. For Saturday we're -5, and for Sunday we're looking at -3 to be your daytime high. Winds are -6, and for Saturday -5. Sunday will be -3. Now towards Ottawa, a lot colder there, -14 the high for Friday. Saturday -10. Now tomorrow morning, the morning show will definitely update you on all the top weather stories. All right, so in southern Ontario today, it was a complete return to winter after a brief mild spell. And we take a look at shots right here. And this is what a lot of areas we're seeing and will continue to see. Those snow squalls will be an issue again through the overnight hours of tomorrow. This is Arthur, Ontario. Notice visibilities are just very compromised. We still have westerly winds off the shores of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. That has still kept these warnings and watches in place. The warning is marked in the sort of blue color, so note the city of Toronto is included in that, but then the sort of grayish color is where we have a watch in place. We are seeing those winds shift direction through the overnight, so these watches and warnings could continue to change. But around Markham, around Pickering, around Goderich, around the shores of Huron, we could be seeing quite a bit of snow and those very strong winds that create whiteout conditions. We'll have generally northwesterly winds through tomorrow. So yeah, we think cold temperatures and the snow squalls continuing. So in the morning tomorrow, give that commute time a little bit extra time along the 401, the QEW, because we could be slow going there. Canmore, Alberta. Well, here's a different story. Beautiful conditions. Through the overnight tonight, it'll be -9, but by the afternoon tomorrow, it's going to be bright, sunny, clear, and the high would be -1. So actually a little bit above seasonal. Same story for Calgary. This is our morning temperatures. Usually these are daytime highs that are above seasonal. Calgary will be -1, feeling closer to -7. Lethbridge feeling closer to -5 for you. As far as the snow goes, a few more scattered flurries around Edmonton and Calgary through the overnight tonight. You're looking at under 3 centimeters for Calgary and between 3 to 6 centimeters in Edmonton into Friday morning. But generally speaking, we're getting into some sunshine and westerly winds that's going to drive up our temperatures through the weekend. It's going to be about 2 degrees in Edmonton for Saturday and Sunday. We take you to this next image. Very strong winds. The winds were sustained at 60 kilometers an hour in St. John, and we're seeing very mild temperatures still through some parts of the Maritimes, but that is definitely going to change. We got up to 12 degrees in Halifax today. That's a new record. These were the peak wind gusts, and it's definitely going to be a different situation tomorrow as there's a return to winter with very cold temperatures. The winds, however, will start to die down. These are the peak winds, and St. John's, Newfoundland, still wet now. On Friday, maybe you're lucky enough to be getting on a plane and getting away somewhere nice and warm and tropical to take a bit of a break. Well, Aruba looks good to me on Friday, 30 degrees. We're seeing sunshine all day. Antigua, 27. We're seeing sunshine there, too. St. Lucia did see some showers there on Thursday, but that looks to be clearing out for Friday. And for San Juan, 26 degrees. Up towards Nassau, we're getting up to 26 there and a mix of sun and cloud. Safe travels. The question is, was it windy and cold enough for you today? Winter came back with a vengeance across southern Ontario, and we still have a few snow squall watches and warnings in place, which we'll cover in a few moments. But first up, let's check this out. This is the intense snow squalls seen earlier in the city of Toronto, and Toronto is still going to experience this, particularly in the east end of the city. Kasia Badurka was live on location earlier today near Brampton. Here she is with the update. Now, the wind warning that was in place in Ontario has been dropped. It was near Niagara and Picton, but you can see evidence of the windy conditions and the snow squalls in this cool time-lapse video in Waterdown, Ontario earlier on Thursday. Now, speaking of those winds, we didn't have a wind warning for Toronto, Kitchener, or Hamilton, but that doesn't mean it was very strong. It just didn't meet wind criteria. You need winds to be very strong for a couple of hours, and they need to reach a certain peak gust, but it was strong nonetheless. Toronto, 84 kilometers an hour. Hamilton gusts reached 81 kilometers an hour, and Kitchener got up to 85, Windsor 72. So, yeah, pretty impressive. Here's the snow that we're going to see through to Friday. Note the Greater Toronto region is getting under 5 centimeters, but we still have a snow squall warning in place there, and if you live around Markham, Thornhill, Pickering, Orangeville, and Durham too, you're still going to see those snow squalls. But I want to just mention that along the shores of Huron around Kincardine, we could see 15 to 25 centimeters of snow into Friday. Well, here's a sign of spring. Water's moving high and fast. There was a lot of melting that happened on Wednesday, but that was due to that short little burst of warm air that inundated southern Ontario. We had record-breaking temperatures, but then that came to a screeching halt. But nonetheless, it caused a lot of flood concerns for people. I know people were reporting flooded basements and roads that were just a little bit too flooded to even drive on. Tuesday to Wednesday, here's the rain that we did see. Hamilton saw 31 millimeters, and at Pearson Airport it was 18 millimeters. Now, it wasn't just the rain, it was the fact that all the snowpack started to melt too, so that created more slushy, soggy, sort of sloppy conditions. For the city of Toronto, as we head into Friday morning, it'll be about -8, and that's a lot cooler than conditions were even this morning, so we're definitely feeling that cool down. And snow squalls still will be an issue overnight into tomorrow. The winds are going to be out of the northwest, so there it is, Hamilton. You could be seeing some bursts of snow, and that just means give yourself a little extra time. Along 401, QEW, things could be a little slow going. Barrie, -11 to start off your day, feeling closer to -20 with the wind chill, and towards Oshawa, -9 with those winds sustained at 25 kilometers an hour. So stay safe on those roads. Coming up, from snow squalls to plant malls, the same storm system pushing through Ontario was making driving a nightmare in Texas. You won't want to miss more incredible video like this in our Force of Nature extended segment at 13.